Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to break down how a regional conflict just blew up into a global crisis in, well, just over a day. We're going to track exactly how it all went down, almost minute by minute. Okay, let's dive right in. It all kicked off right here, in the dead of night, Saturday, February 28th, around 1:15 a.m. Eastern Time. People in Iran were seeing scenes just like this, a series of coordinated strikes hitting targets inside the country. This was the opening shot. Right, and this wasn't just some random attack. This was the spark. This was the first, very deliberate move in a military campaign that was about to unfold with incredible, almost unbelievable speed. So this first wave of attacks, it was incredibly fast, lasting only about 6 hours. But it was also really complex. We're not just talking about jets in the sky. Official reports say this was a huge operation from the get-go, involving air, land, and sea-based weapons. So what were they actually aiming for? Well, U.S. Central Command, that's CENTCOM, they were very clear about it. They weren't just hitting random spots. They were surgically targeting key military infrastructure. They went after the command and control centers for Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the IRGC, along with their air defenses, missile sites, and airfields. Basically, they were trying to take out the entire nerve center of Iran's military power. As you'd expect, the second the dust settled, two totally different stories started to get told. On one side, the US and Israel called it a preemptive and necessary action to stop future threats. On the other side, Iran called it illegal aggression and declared a national emergency. And right there, you have the setup for what was almost guaranteed to happen next. So a response was definitely coming. That was never in doubt. But the scope of the response, that was the real shocker. Iran didn't just play defense. It went on offense, projecting its power across the entire region and making this conflict way, way bigger. Iran's IRGC actually gave their counterattack a name, True Promise 4. Now, the name is interesting, but that number, the 4, that's the real tell here. It suggests this wasn't some panicked, last-minute reaction. It sounds like a pre-planned operation. And it's a pretty clear signal that there could be a True Promise 5 waiting in the wings. And these images, wow, they really capture the dynamic perfectly. It was a classic tit for tat. For every strike, there was an immediate and powerful counterstrike. You could just see how the whole thing was spreading like wildfire across the Middle East. So where did Iran hit back? Well, they went big. They launched this massive barrage of missiles and drones, and they didn't just aim at one place. They targeted U.S. military bases in 5 different countries, all the way from Bahrain to Jordan. And the sheer scale of this thing, it was huge. CENTCOM said it tracked hundreds of inbound threats. That's a massive wave of weapons designed to just completely overwhelm any defense. But, and this is a big but, the defense was just as massive. Okay, so here's the really crucial takeaway from that exchange. Despite that enormous volley of missiles and drones, U.S. officials said the attack was mostly neutralized. They reported very little damage to their bases and, critically, 0 American casualties. The fact that this huge attack didn't land a major blow, well, that probably forced Iran to change its strategy. A conflict like this never stays in one place for long. It almost immediately sent shockwaves rippling through the global economy and all the way to the UN. The battlefield was about to get a lot bigger. So, since the direct military strike didn't hit as hard as they'd hoped, Iran pivoted. They went for an economic chokehold. The IRGC started broadcasting these warnings to all commercial ships in the area, saying that no ship is allowed to pass through the Strait of Hormuz. And if you don't know, this is one of the most important shipping lanes on the planet for oil. The threat alone was enough to spark a panic. And the fallout? It was immediate. It wasn't even a formal military blockade, but it created what experts call a de facto disruption. Right away, you had major shipping companies halting all their traffic, insurance companies jacking up their war risk rates, and of course, global oil prices shot through the roof. Iran didn't even have to fire a missile to cause serious economic pain. Okay, so with the military situation getting hotter and the global economy getting nervous, the diplomats had to step in, fast. At the urgent request of both Russia and China, the UN Security Council called an emergency meeting to try and get a handle on the crisis. And what's so telling when you look at this is that nobody could agree on anything. You had Europe calling for calm while also saying, hey, we're not involved. Russia jumped in to condemn the first strikes by the US and Israel. China just wanted everyone to stop, and of course, the Gulf states were furious that their sovereign territory was used as a battleground. There was no united front, just a mess of competing interests.
And all of that, it brings us right here, to this moment. After 30 insane hours of strikes, counterstrikes, and global chaos, the entire region is just on the brink. And the question everyone is asking is, what on earth happens now?
Right now, analysts are watching 5 key things. Think of it like an escalation ladder. Are we going to see another round of US and Israeli strikes? Will Iran launch another huge missile salvo? Does the situation in the Strait of Hormuz get even worse? Do Iran's proxy groups in other countries jump into the fight? Or, just maybe, can diplomatic pressure force a ceasefire? Each one of these is a step up or down that ladder. At the end of the day, it really all boils down to this one question. Was this whole thing a violent but ultimately limited exchange? Or are we watching the very first shots of a much, much wider war? The decisions made in the next 48 hours are going to give us the answer. And the stakes, for everyone, just couldn't be higher.